Well, howdy there, world culture students. Today I've got a video for you. I'm going to show you a presentation about the geographical regions of India. Okay, so here we've got a map showing the political borders in the Indian subcontinent. We've got India here, Pakistan, Afghanistan up here, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the islands of the Maldives or Maldives down here. I'm never sure quite how to pronounce that. It's something like that, though. And here we have there we go, a composite satellite photo of the subcontinent. And we're going to be returning to this photo here quite a bit. So you can see here on the map just barely these yellow lines here showing the borders of the countries. Hope you can see those. And as you hopefully recall, the five major regions of the subcontinent are the Himalaya region here. You can see the Himalayan mountains show up real nice, with Tibet, the high plateau of Tibet, just over the border there. Then the lowland plain area right here, the Deccan Plateau, and the southern coastal plains. So, moving along here, here's a map that does a good job of showing the mountain ranges that form important boundaries between these areas. In particular, the Vindhyas here, and the western and eastern Ghats here that form the boundaries of the Deccan Plateau. So let's look at the Himalayas a little bit more. This area up here in northern India, northern Pakistan, and also in Nepal here as well, but we're not going to talk about Nepal too much in this unit here. Here they are. So you can see we've got, very, very high mountains, literally the world's tallest mountains. And you can also see, we've got a river right here. The Himalayas are the source of the subcontinent's most important rivers, such as the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, the Indus. And you can see quite a bit of vegetation here. If we go back to that satellite photo again, we can see that here at the southern edge of the subcontinent, it is nice and green, because when those monsoons come up from the Indian Ocean in the wet season, they hit the Himalayas and they dump all their rain right there. So you're going to have a tremendous amount of rainfall here on the southern slopes of the Himalayas, giving you a chance to get some of this nice green stuff right here. And here's another neat photo of the Himalayas. So this, if I remember correctly, this photo is from India. So here's an inhabited area of India here. You can see these farm fields here that go right up to these foothills in the Himalayas, and then the Himalayas there in the distance. And this picture here shows the Indus. You can see the snow-capped mountains there in the background. I believe that this here is the Indus, and here's another river that's joining it right here. I know that one of them is the Indus anyway, and I'm pretty sure it's this one, might be this one. But anyhow, so you can see a road going right alongside it right here. That'd be a pretty cool road to drive on. So there's the Himalaya region. Now we're going to move on to the lowland plain, often called the Indus-Gangetic plain, for the Indus River here and the Ganges River, which flows roughly over here. This is, here we go. This is the most highly populated region of the subcontinent. Approximately 2/3 of the subcontinent's people live here in the lowland plain. It takes up the southern part of Pakistan, or much of the southern part of Pakistan, the northern part of India, and pretty much all of the country of Bangladesh right here. And yes, 2/3 of the subcontinent's population live in this area, so it's very highly populated. And remember, we're talking about upwards of 1 billion people in the whole subcontinent. So 2/3, we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 million people. That is a little bit more than twice the population of the United States living in this area right here. So tremendously highly populated region. And here's a really neat satellite photo showing the lowland plain. And you can see the Himalayas right here. Right here, I think those are the Himalayas, not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like. And then we've got some clouds right here. Well, yeah, that's a good example of the monsoons from the Indian Ocean coming up here, blowing these clouds up against the Himalayas. So if these are the Himalayas here, that means that this is north and south is over this way. So here's northern India and possibly northern Pakistan. I'm not sure exactly what this photo is showing, something along those lines though. So the lowland plain area, and you can see these incredibly bright areas. This is a photo taken at night. So these are all the lights of the cities and along the roads connecting them and whatnot. And here's a couple of pictures of some typical landscapes in the lowland plain. Nice and flat, nice and green. They get a decent amount of rainfall here. And if there's not enough rainfall in a certain area, well, you've got the Indus and the Ganges River that you can irrigate out of. So great places for agriculture, and that's essentially why they're such highly populated areas. One more picture here of the lowland plain. This is during the rainy season. I believe these are rice fields, and I'm pretty sure it looks like it's raining during, like in this picture, it is raining. Either that or it just quit raining, one or the other. You can see it's all wet down here. It looks pretty gray and cloudy. So that's lowland plain. And then you've got the Deccan Plateau, south of the lowland plain, roughly right here. And you can kind of see, well, actually, I'll point that out later. I was going to say something about the something you can see along here at the south western edge, but I'll talk about that here in a minute. So here you've got the Vindhya range. There's the Vindhya mountain range here in the distance, and I believe I put quite a bit of time into figuring out whether this picture is taken from the north, like looking north or looking south. I believe it's looking north. That was the best I was able to figure out. So if I'm correct, here we are on the Deccan Plateau here, looking north at the Vindhya range, which would be right about here roughly, separating that lowland plain from the Deccan Plateau. So the Vindhya range forms the northern boundary. And then we've got the Ghats, the western and eastern Ghats. So here's a close-up of, go back to the satellite photo here. What we're going to see there in a minute is a close-up of this area here, the western coast of India. There are the Ghats, the western Ghats, the eastern Ghats, forming the western and eastern borders of the triangle-shaped Deccan Plateau. So, and you can see here that rugged chain of mountains and hills. And notice how it's nice and green here along the coast, and then it's not quite as green once you get on the other side of those mountains. So let's look at it from ground level. Here are the Western Ghats, and again, this is taken, if I understand correctly, this is taken from the Deccan Plateau. So we're standing on the Deccan Plateau here, looking to the west at the Western Ghats in this picture. And here are the Eastern Ghats, kind of the same thing. And one more thing I want you to notice here. Here we go. Here's a really, really great picture illustrating the effect of the Western Ghats, in this case, on the climate. These hills you see here, these mountains in the background, are the Western Ghats. And you see there are lots and lots of clouds there, dumping rain on the western slope of those mountains. And here on the eastern side of the mountains, we're on the Deccan Plateau, and it looks kind of dry, doesn't it? Yeah. So quite a bit of the Deccan Plateau is dry compared to the northern, the lowland plain in the north, and the coastal plains on the east and west. And yeah, you can see that here, a little bit more green, not quite as green. And finally, the southern coastal plains. It's a fairly narrow area on either side of the Deccan Plateau, but it's nice and green. They've got plenty of rainfall that the monsoons bring in from the Indian Ocean. There's the Indian Ocean right here. This is the western coast, if I remember correctly. And yeah, you know, it takes a lot of water to grow a lot of trees like that, so they're getting plenty of rainfall. This is a relatively small part of the subcontinent in terms of area, just this narrow strip here and here, but it tends to be very densely populated. Some of the largest cities on the subcontinent are here on the southern coastal plains. Alrighty, well, that'll do it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe and follow me on InstaSnap. See ya!